Imagine for a moment that you are standing on the ground, looking up at the night sky. To your eyes, all you see are stars, a dark canvas scattered with tiny sparks of light. But what if you had the eyes of a satellite orbiting far above the Earth? Suddenly, things hidden from you are revealed. You would see the glow of entire cities, the flow of rivers, the shadow of mountains, and even the faint outlines of nations. A satellite can uncover what the naked eye cannot, and that is a powerful metaphor for human potential. Because deep within you there are treasures, abilities, and possibilities so vast that even you may not yet be aware of them. You live with them every day, yet they lie dormant, waiting for the right perspective, the right spark to awaken them. Just as the satellite sees what is hidden, there is a higher part of you that can see the greatness inside you, a greatness that your doubts and fears have kept hidden. Most people go through life using only a fraction of their true potential. They wake up, go through their routines, and accept mediocrity as if it were their fate. They say to themselves, "This is all I am capable of. This is all I can achieve." But that is not the truth. The truth is that within each person lives an untapped power, an ability so extraordinary that if it were revealed, it would shock even the individual who carries it. Think of it: every great invention, every breakthrough, every revolution in history came from a human being who dared to believe there was more inside them than what the world saw on the surface. Just like the satellite that reveals hidden landscapes, their vision uncovered what was already within them. The terrifying part is not the power itself, but the thought of what happens when that power is never discovered. A life lived beneath one's potential is a life of regret, a life of silence where there should have been music, a life of shadows where there should have been light. And the reason many never discover it is because they allow fear, doubt, and negative feelings to act as blinders. They walk through life with their heads down, unaware of the treasure chest buried in their own backyard. It is not that the power is missing. It is that the person has never chosen to look deeper. That is the secret. Potential does not need to be given to you. It is already inside you, waiting to be uncovered. Think of the seed of a mighty tree. If you hold it in your hand, it looks small, fragile, even insignificant. But within that seed lies the blueprint of a towering giant that can grow for centuries. The power of shade, of fruit, of shelter for birds and animals, all of that is encoded inside something so small. In the same way, within you lies a blueprint, a design for greatness that has been there since the day you were born. Most people never allow that seed to grow because they say to themselves, "I am too weak, I am too old, I am not capable, I am not worthy." But none of those thoughts are the truth. They are simply the walls of limitation that keep you from seeing your inner satellite view. When you begin to look at yourself differently, when you begin to accept that there is more to you than meets the eye, you start to uncover layers of strength you never knew existed. Suddenly, challenges that once looked impossible become stepping stones. Obstacles transform into opportunities. Fear begins to shrink because you realize it is only the shadow cast by your own potential. You see, fear grows in the dark, but when you shine the light of awareness on it, it disappears. And what is left is the raw, unshakable truth. You were never weak, you were never small, you were never broken. You are always carrying within you the power to shape your destiny. A satellite does not complain about the darkness of space. It thrives in it because the darkness makes the hidden things visible. In the same way, your darkest moments, your lowest seasons, Your most painful struggles, they are not proof that you are powerless. They are the very conditions that allow your hidden potential to be revealed. When everything is easy, you don't need to search within. But when life presses you, when you are forced to dig deep, that is when you uncover the terrifying secret of your own greatness. That is when you realize that what you thought was the end was only the beginning, that what you thought would break you was actually the fire that shaped you into something unshakable. And so, within you lies a force that is waiting to be recognized. Not given, not borrowed, not earned, but recognized. It is already yours. The satellite in the sky does not create cities or rivers. It only reveals what was already there. Your higher self does not give you potential, it only reveals it to you when you are ready to see. The secret is not out there in the world, it is inside of you, waiting for you to open your inner eyes. There comes a moment in every person's life when a single decision changes the course of their destiny. It may not seem grand at first, it may not come with a flash of lightning or the applause of the world, but in the quietest of ways, it holds the power to alter everything. That decision is often wrapped in one small but mighty word: yes. Saying yes is not just about agreeing to an opportunity. It is about opening a door to a reality that does not yet exist. It is about leaning into possibility rather than shrinking away from it. Many people underestimate the force of a yes because they believe their lives are determined by circumstances, by what the world gives or withholds. But the truth is that destiny bends, shifts, and transforms the moment you choose to affirm yourself with a yes. When you say yes to growth, you are acknowledging that who you are today is not the limit of who you can become. Too many people say no before they even begin. They say no to opportunities because they are afraid of failing. They say no to relationships because they are afraid of being hurt. They say no to dreams because they are afraid they are not worthy. Each no builds another wall, another layer of limitation, until they find themselves trapped inside a prison of their own making. And yet, all it takes to break down those walls is the courage to whisper yes. A single yes has the power to dismantle years of fear, because yes is the language of expansion. No contracts your life, but yes opens it. Think of every great breakthrough in history. Someone had to say yes to an idea that others dismissed. Yes to a vision no one else could see. Yes to the possibility that something greater existed beyond the limits of their current circumstances. The innovators, the leaders, the dreamers, none of them were given a guarantee of success. What separated them from the rest was that they were willing to say yes before evidence appeared. They stepped into the unknown and trusted that the path would unfold as they moved forward. That is the terrifying and yet liberating secret of yes. It demands that you trust in a future you cannot yet touch. Even in your personal life, you can trace back moments when a simple yes shaped the path you are walking now. Maybe you said yes to learning something new, and that opened doors to skills that now define your career. Maybe you said yes to meeting someone, and that person changed your life. Maybe you said yes to moving beyond your comfort zone, and that yes gave birth to experiences you never imagined you would have. And perhaps there were also times when you said no out of fear, and those no's became the quiet regrets you carry. What is important to understand is that every yes and every no builds your destiny piece by piece, decision by decision. Yes is not always comfortable. In fact, it rarely is. Yes often asks you to stretch, to grow, to walk into places where you do not feel prepared. Yes challenges your excuses. Yes confronts your doubts. Yes pushes you to look beyond the surface of your limitations and see the hidden strength within you. But that discomfort is the birthplace of transformation. When you say yes despite the tremble in your voice, despite the uncertainty in your mind, despite the fear in your heart, you tap into a power greater than your fear. You begin to rewire your destiny. You begin to align with a version of yourself that has been waiting for you to choose it. There is a deep connection between yes and faith. Yes is the evidence that you trust life enough to believe that it will meet you halfway. It is the recognition that even if you cannot see the entire staircase, you are willing to take the first step. And in taking that step, you invite momentum, opportunity, and synchronicity to enter your life. The universe, or whatever name you choose to give it, has a strange way of responding to yes. It begins to arrange circumstances, introduce people, and create pathways that were invisible before. But none of that begins until you commit to yes. The path does not reveal itself to those who hesitate forever in the safety of no. It reveals itself to those who dare to move forward. Yes also has the power to transform the way you see yourself. Every time you say yes to something that frightens you, you expand the boundaries of your identity. You start to see yourself not as the timid, limited version you once believed you were, but as someone capable, strong, and resilient. Each yes plants a seed of confidence, and those seeds grow into a garden of self-belief. Eventually, you look back and realize that the person who once doubted, who once resisted, who once hid behind no, has been replaced by someone who trusts, who acts, who believes. That transformation does not happen overnight, but it begins the moment you choose yes. Negative feelings are often misunderstood. People think of them as chains, as heavy weights that drag them down, as proof that something is wrong with them. They treat sadness, anger, doubt, or fear as enemies to be avoided at all costs. But in truth, negative emotions are not enemies, they are signals, raw forms of energy waiting to be directed. The problem is not that negative feelings exist. The problem is that most people let those feelings control them instead of learning to control the energy they carry. Imagine electricity. In its raw, uncontrolled state, it can be dangerous, destructive, even deadly. But when harnessed, when directed through wires and transformed into current, it can light up entire cities. In the same way, your negative emotions hold immense energy. The question is whether you will allow that energy to destroy you or empower you. Think of moments when anger surged inside you. It tightened your chest, it quickened your heartbeat, it sharpened your focus. That energy is powerful. Most people waste it by lashing out, by turning it into bitterness, by letting it eat away at their health and relationships. But the same energy, if redirected, becomes fuel for change. Anger at injustice can be channeled into building movements that transform society. Anger at failure can be channeled into discipline, into hard work, into relentless determination that refuses to quit. The feeling itself is not the enemy. It is simply raw energy waiting for direction. The choice of direction is yours. The same is true of fear. Fear is often painted as weakness, but at its core, fear is heightened awareness. It is your body alerting you to pay attention, to prepare, to sharpen your senses. Left uncontrolled, fear paralyzes you, keeps you from acting, convinces you that the unknown is too dangerous. But when you take that same energy and channel it, fear becomes courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is fear harnessed and transformed into forward motion. The same trembling hands that once hesitated at the edge of possibility can become the steady hands that build something extraordinary once you decide to move forward despite the fear. Even sadness, which many believe is only heaviness, carries with it profound strength. Sadness is the proof of love, of connection, of caring deeply. To feel sadness is to have been touched by something meaningful, and that depth can be transformed into empathy, into creativity, into wisdom that uplifts others. Some of the greatest art, music, literature, and inventions came not from people who lived free of sadness, but from those who took the weight of their sorrow and poured it into creation. They turned pain into beauty, despair into meaning, grief into contribution. That is the hidden alchemy of negative feelings. They contain the seed of transformation, if you are willing to see them not as punishments, but as possibilities. When you start to see negative emotions as fuel, you stop resisting them. Resistance makes them heavier. The more you try to push them away, the stronger they become. But when you acknowledge them, when you say, I see you, I feel you, and I will use your energy, something changes. The energy loosens, it begins to flow, and suddenly you are no longer weighed down, but carried forward. This is not about pretending everything is positive. It is not about denying the reality of pain. It is about recognizing that within every negative feeling lies hidden power. The same storm that uproots trees also waters the soil for new growth. The same fire that destroys can also purify and forge something stronger. Think of history again. Every revolution was born from dissatisfaction. Every movement for freedom was fueled by frustration, anger, or a refusal to accept things as they were. If people had simply buried their negative emotions, if they had said, we should not feel this way, then progress would never have come. But because they allowed those feelings to ignite action, they transformed their societies. On a personal level, the same is true. Your frustration with your current situation can either sink you into despair or push you into growth. Your fear of failure can either freeze you or propel you to prepare so well that success becomes inevitable. The choice of how to use that energy is always yours. Negative feelings are raw power. They are reminders that something inside you is alive, awake, and demanding change. To ignore them is to waste energy. To wallow in them is to let them corrode your spirit. But to channel them is to discover a force greater than you imagined. A life without negative feelings is not possible, but a life where those feelings are transformed into unstoppable energy is not only possible, it is waiting for you the moment you decide to stop resisting and start redirecting. When we look at a satellite image of India from above, what do we really see? To the ordinary eye, it is a landmass filled with rivers, mountains, cities, and millions of people going about their lives. But to the trained eye, what shines through is not just geography, it is resilience, discipline, and an unstoppable force of survival that has been tested over centuries. That same principle applies to the inner life of every individual. From the surface, you may look ordinary to others. They may see only your routines, your job, your struggles, your daily patterns. But if they could rise high enough, if they could take a satellite view of your inner being, they would see something far more powerful. They would see hidden reserves of strength, secret talents, untapped creativity, and a spirit capable of transforming not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. India is often underestimated by those who look only on the surface. They see poverty, chaos, or complexity, but they miss the hidden systems of resilience that keep the nation alive and thriving. In the same way, people often underestimate themselves. They see only their failures, their limitations, or the obstacles in their path. They forget that beneath those visible struggles lies an inner India, a land of untold wealth and power, waiting to be discovered. The secret is not in denying the difficulties, but in recognizing the deeper layers beneath them. Just as satellites capture the unseen strengths of a nation, you must learn to capture the unseen strengths within yourself. There is something profoundly symbolic about a satellite. It does not get caught up in the noise of the streets or the dust of the roads. It looks from above, from a higher perspective, and from that height, what seemed chaotic on the ground begins to make sense. The same is true for you. When you rise above your immediate struggles and take a higher perspective on your life, suddenly the confusion, the setbacks, and the noise begin to reveal a pattern. You start to see that your failures were shaping your resilience, that your heartbreaks were teaching you compassion, that your obstacles were strengthening your will. From the ground it may feel like chaos, but from above it is preparation. India's history is a mirror of this truth. It has faced invasions, colonization, economic struggles, and countless challenges, and yet each time it has risen. Not by chance, but by a deep, hidden power that refuses to break. That is the terrifying secret. Strength that is invisible until it is tested. You carry that same secret. No matter how many times life has knocked you down, there is something inside you that insists on rising again. You may think you are weak, but the very fact that you are still here, still breathing, still searching, is proof that your hidden nation is alive. This inner nation is made of discipline, the quiet force that keeps you moving when no one is watching. It is made of resilience, the ability to bend without breaking, to endure storms and still stand. It is made of innovation, the spark that finds solutions when resources are scarce. These are the qualities that satellites pick up in a nation from above, and these are the qualities that your higher self sees in you, even when you cannot see them yourself. The challenge is that most people live their lives as though they are only what the surface shows. They forget that within them lies a land of power, a force capable of rewriting their story if only they dare to believe it. Just as nations are not defined by one season of struggle, you are not defined by one moment of failure. The satellite view reminds us that a country is vast, layered, complex, and ever evolving. So are you. One failure does not erase your worth. One rejection does not diminish your potential. One setback does not define your destiny. When you see yourself only from the ground level, you may believe the story ends where you stumbled. But when you see yourself from above, you realize the stumble is just one tiny part of a much greater journey. What makes India strong is not just its visible successes, but its invisible foundations, its culture, its spirit, its determination that stretches beyond what outsiders can measure. And what makes you strong is not just the skills or achievements that others can see, but the invisible foundation of your inner self, your beliefs, your persistence, your unyielding will to keep going. To tap into that strength, you must start looking at yourself from a higher view. Ask yourself not just what is happening now, but what this moment is building in you. Ask yourself not just why life is difficult, but what qualities are being shaped within you through that difficulty. When you learn to see yourself the way a satellite sees a nation, You stop judging yourself only by what is visible on the surface. You begin to recognize the hidden country inside you, a country of power and purpose that no one else may see, but that you carry with you in every choice, every step, every yes to possibility. Destiny is a word that often feels untouchable, as if it were something written long before we arrived on this earth, sealed in stone and beyond our influence. People talk about destiny as though it is an external force that controls them, a script already prepared with no room for revision. But the truth is far different. Destiny is not found waiting for you in the stars. It is created every single day by the choices you make, the thoughts you entertain, and the beliefs you hold onto. Every decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of your future. Every yes or no adds color and shape to the picture of the life you will ultimately live. The terrifying secret is not that destiny is predetermined, but that it is completely within your hands, and that responsibility can feel overwhelming until you learn to embrace it. Think about the difference between people who live passively and those who live intentionally. A passive person believes life happens to them, so they wait, they react, they drift. They think destiny is something they will stumble upon one day, like a treasure hidden under the sand. But those who live intentionally understand that destiny is not discovered, it is forged. It is sculpted through persistence, shaped by resilience, and fueled by vision. They do not wait for circumstances to hand them meaning. They create meaning by choosing how to respond to circumstances. This is why two people can face the same challenge and end up in completely different places, one broken by it, and the other strengthened, sharpened, and elevated. The difference lies not in fate, but in choice. Destiny is not some grand event waiting at the end of your life. It is unfolding in every small act of today. When you choose to learn instead of complain, when you choose to rise instead of retreat, when you choose to move forward instead of staying stuck, you are writing your destiny. Even when you feel powerless, even when the situation seems outside your control, you still hold power in how you think and how you respond. That power is enough to change the course of everything. People underestimate the ripple effect of their choices. They think saying yes to growth today is insignificant, but tomorrow, that yes multiplies, and a year from now, it becomes a completely new reality. The secret is that life does not bend to those who sit and wait. It bends to those who take the pen and write their own story. Your mind is the architect. Your decisions are the building blocks, and your actions are the labor that brings the structure to life. Destiny is not luck, it is design. It is the design you create by daring to believe that you are more powerful than your excuses, greater than your failures, and capable of becoming the person you once only dreamed of. The world has countless examples of men and women who began with nothing, who faced rejection after rejection, and yet carved out destinies that changed history. They did not find those destinies lying in their path. They created them through vision, persistence, and faith in their own power to choose. It is easy to hand over responsibility to something external, to say, if it is meant to be, it will be. That belief may feel comforting, but it is also paralyzing. Because if destiny is already sealed, then why fight? Why dream? Why take risks? Why rise again after falling? But when you understand that destiny is built, not given, suddenly your struggles take on new meaning. They are no longer punishments, they are opportunities to shape yourself. Your failures are no longer final. They are lessons chiseling away what does not belong, leaving behind the truest version of you. Every moment becomes significant because every moment is a chance to create. Consider how a sculptor works with marble. To the untrained eye, the stone looks ordinary, rough, without form. But the sculptor sees the statue within. With every strike of the hammer and chisel, with every choice of where to cut, the hidden figure begins to emerge. That is destiny, not something locked in the marble, but something brought out through deliberate action. You are both the sculptor and the marble. You hold within you endless potential, and through the choices you make, you carve out the life you are destined to live. Even the smallest shift in thought can redirect destiny, a belief that says I can instead of I can't, a decision to get back up one more time after falling, a choice to forgive instead of hate, to learn instead of surrender, to act instead of delay. These are not minor. They are monumental because they accumulate, they compound, they build momentum until one day you look back and realize that the life you are living was created by 1,000 choices that began with one decision to take control. The truth is, destiny is not waiting for you. It is waiting on you. It is waiting on your courage, your persistence, your willingness to say yes when every fear screams no. It is waiting on you to rise above circumstances, to stop blaming, to stop waiting, to start building. You do not need to wait for stars to align or for luck to strike. The moment you decide to take ownership of your choices, the moment you recognize that your thoughts and actions are the true architects of your future, you begin to unlock the terrifying yet liberating secret that destiny is created, not found.